KPX5's Phil Matier and I asked former San Francisco Mayor Willie Brown if he thinks all this Cohen business is too damaging to the president.
No, this guy has so little credibility. Even the prosecutors cannot accept any of his stories as being authentic. And that's unfortunate, because when you plead guilty, you would hope that that establishes you as a truthful source. He is not yet a truthful source, and that's why he's been sentenced to 3 years in jail for doing almost nothing.
Well, and yeah, and if you look at the payments to the women, were actually sort of a small part. The bigger issue in New York, at least, was lying to banks, lying on your taxes, and that's not something Trump made him do. When he stands up and says, "Oh, I went to the dark side, and please forgive me," it's go, wait a minute. Donald Trump didn't tell you to lie to banks and get $1 million loans.
But he did do, whether it was by a wink or a nod, he paid off the former Playmate and Stormy Daniels to get the stories and silence them during the election.
Phil, if that had been the only thing he did, he would not be receiving 3 years. Believe me. Paying somebody not to talk in a political campaign? Are you kidding me? That's not much of a crime.
Some people would actually think it's a blessing.
Really? Well, and actually, one of the most important things that he said, but that is going to have to be validated by emails and other communications, is that the president knew that what they were doing is wrong. And that's important, because if you know what you're doing is wrong, that's what takes a fine for campaign finance and turns it into a criminal case with up to 5 years.
But with all due respect, that news organization that made the same payment did not get sent to jail at all.
Because they're cooperating.
They're cooperating. Are you kidding me? They have less credibility than Michael Cohen.
Is the question this?
You mean the National Enquirer?
Hey, can I get a
credibility? Yes.
I quit. We'll never get to the bottom of this. Back to you guys.
We do test his patience.
Now, on the question of credibility, the prosecutors are not going to have to rely solely on Michael Cohen. There's going to be other documentation. There's going to be other witnesses who back up his story, right?
Presumably, right? Because Michael Cohen has this track record of lying to investigators. That's part of and lying to banks and to the IRS. So resting your whole case on him is not smart. We've got now the National Enquirer folks, the AMI media company folks, also on board saying the same thing. So, and we know this administration sometimes sends emails that are really right out there and unfortunate. At least, there was the issue with the meeting with Russians in Trump Tower. That was a pretty clearly worded series of emails. If they continue those kind of communications, there'll be a lot more plus Cohen to go on. House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi says she is comfortable with setting term limits for senior party leadership positions. The 78-year-old just agreed to serve no more than 4 years as House Speaker if she's elected.
That's a long time. I was saying that one term was what I was saying. They were saying 6 months to begin with. I feel very comfortable about what they are proposing, and I feel very responsible to do that, whether it passes or not.
By agreeing to the term limit, Pelosi won over Democrats who have wanted to clear the way for younger leadership. The big full vote for House Speaker comes next month. KPX5's Phil Matier and I asked former San Francisco Mayor Willie Brown about Pelosi cutting that deal to get votes from fellow Democrats.
Well, any time you say, I'm going to leave by a certain date, but I'm not sure that's exactly what she said. She said, my intentions are to stay only for the next 4 years. That may very well be because she intends to leave Congress in the next 4 years. If I'm, however, any one of these supervisors, if I'm Mark Leno or Scott Wiener or Jane Kim waiting for Nancy to leave, forget it. Nancy's going to be there until Moses comes back.
Well, yeah, it did seem like she was giving away something she may already be planning to do anyway. I mean, when she was interviewed about this, she said, 4 years is a really long time when you're talking about all the work of being a speaker.
But nonetheless, when you do that, Mayor Brown, as a former speaker yourself, that immediately sets off, doesn't it, a frenzy among the other Democrats? We got, it's an open, you're a lame duck.
It didn't in my case, because what I said in 1987, I said, I believe that the person who's going to replace me as Speaker is being conceived tonight. And that was worked because nobody bothered to say, I'm going to replace you.
Right, but in this case, isn't this going to set off
It will create a problem because, believe me, every step that people take from now on will be aimed at when do I become Speaker?
Yeah, but she also bought 4 years of people sort of leaving her alone about it. I mean, we won't have this, ideally, you won't have this annual rush to try to replace her if they know she's leaving.
I want you to do something, aren't they? Washington, 4 years is a
no,
heartbeat.
No. Everybody's going to be trying to get her blessings. They're going to want her supporters. They're going to want her donors. After all, this woman raised more money than you can print in the same period of time. If you want to be Speaker, you've got to be perceived as a person to do exactly that. She provides you the key with that acceptance.
Willie is the definition of colorful. He says she will be Speaker until Moses comes back. I wasn't even sure that that was something anyone was actually waiting for. Is that his just way of saying indefinitely?
Or as long as she wants to be, is what he's trying to say. And he's also trying to say it's the kind of position that it's very difficult to give up because there is so much power associated with it, that folks who enjoy it, like himself, are, you know, it's sort of hard to pry that away from somebody who's been in that position for so long. I'll tell you, though, right now, after that meeting in the White House with the president and Chuck Schumer, she is more popular than ever. She is stronger than ever among Democrats. And so I'm not sure she even had to make this deal, but at any rate, she seems to have all the votes locked in for that January vote.